The Snow White live-action adaptation has been mired in controversy, and things don't seem to be getting any better, but now there is another layer of problems being added to the pile because the son of the 37 animated films director is coming out slamming this remake, saying his father and Walt Disney would be turning in their graves over the woke Snow White remake. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media so you can see when my content is posted, and of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and live streams I create, consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So this is an archive of a Telegraph post that says my dad and Walt Disney would be turning in their graves over the woke Snow White remake. I have called out this remake quite a lot on the channel because I have a lot of love and nostalgia for the Disney Renaissance films, Snow White included, and it is sad to see them taking such a beloved product and mangling it in order to, fit modern, audiences, sensibilities, which of course the closest audience to a modern audience are sensitive snowflakes online who will cancel anything they deem a little bit too offensive or not with the times. But now you have the son of the original film's director accusing Disney studio bosses of insulting the 37 classic, and it really is an insult. It's an insult to anyone affiliated with that project. They can act all they want like it doesn't really matter, and oh, it's just a few small changes, but those small changes that they claimed have added up. It says the son of the animator who directed the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has condemned the studio's woke remake of the classic film, saying it is insulting to the original work. They could make a brand new story with a Latina princess and 7 magical companions, a story about a woman who is going to be a leader, who might be a queen in her own right, who has to fight an evil witch, and they could do that, but make a new story and no one would have any reason to complain. But instead they've decided to take Snow White because of course they know that it is a very notable name. People are going to be able to pick it out and go, wow, I know Snow White, I love Snow White, and they'll go and see it, and then they'll end up walking out of the theaters going, what did I just watch? But it doesn't matter to Disney because they've already got your ticket sale. That's why they don't just create something new. And it's tragic because, again, they could create a Latina princess with 7 magical companions and nobody would care because it's new. And that's fine. But instead, they're taking beloved characters and stories and mangling it. And that's what people are very upset about. That is why this remake has faced so much criticism. It says David Hand, whose father, also called David Hand, worked with Walt Disney to create the much-loved 37 hit, said the pair would be turning in their grave as studio bosses destroy their creation. What else would you call it if not destroying their creation? They are taking it, they're changing basically everything about it. It's not a remake or an adaptation anymore. It's an entirely new story. It says, based on the 1812 Brothers Grimm fairy tale, Snow White has become the latest in a string of Disney live-action reimaginings, which sees old classics rewritten for modern audiences. See, this is the problem, is modern audiences. Whenever we hear that term, it means completely taken and twisted and altered, but another issue is that they are now calling them live-action reimaginings, which sees old classics rewritten, but the first few were not that way, okay? Cinderella, which I believe was the first one, did fantastic in theaters, and it was very close to the original story. Then you had Beauty and the Beast, which again was almost, a one-for-one remake. It did have some changes, some additions, right? But there were not subtractions. There were no songs removed because they were too offensive. There was no imagery changed because they felt it wouldn't sit well with modern audiences. And then it's like they did a complete 180 after they've already baited people and they've already gotten people used to these live actions. And we felt like we were really excited to see the rest, we of course got Mulan, which was just abysmal. We've gotten the live action Little Mermaid, which was very different from the original, again, picking actors and actresses who do not fit their animated counterparts, changing songs because they were deemed too offensive. Changing settings and outfits, tons of different stuff. And then you had Peter Pan and Wendy, which again, they decided to make casting decisions where the actors did not fit with their animated counterparts, and they have gone drastically downhill in quality, even though the budgets have only gone up. And with this Snow White adaptation, there have been so many red flags. It has been crazy, and one of the major ones is Rachel Zegler. She has been under scrutiny over the past few weeks for saying that the original version was extremely dated, that the prince was a stalker, that the love story in the original was dumb, and they're doing away with that in this remake because she's a strong woman. I mean, these are the things that, yes, are extremely insulting to the creators of the 37 animated, and that's probably why his son has come out and said something, because of course his father is no longer around to defend himself, and defend his creation, and he feels like, if I am not going to do it, who else is going to do it? I mean, even David Hand, the son, is 91 now. He is a very old individual, but it's still great to see him trying to defend his father's work. But it says changes include appearing to replace the seven dwarfs with magical creatures, and suggesting the film, which boasts a song titled Someday My Prince Will Come, won't be a love story. It is not a love story from what we have heard. They are changing everything about it, and it is so freaking sad to see. But it says Mr. Hand, 91, who worked as a designer for Disney in the 90s, told The Telegraph such views misunderstand the film. He said a lot of younger people have never seen the original and don't know what they're talking about, and we even know Rachel Zegler doesn't even really know what she's talking about. She really only signed up for the Snow White live action because, first of all, she wanted money, but second of all, she wanted it to become a new take on Snow White. She straight up admitted in interviews that she did not ever really like the 37 animated. She said that she had watched it once as a child and was afraid of it and never watched it again. And I understand as a young kid, yeah, sure, you might be a little bit freaked out by it, but why didn't you ever watch it when you were like a teenager? And she admitted that she had never rewatched it until she actually got the role as Snow White, which is just such an insult out of the millions of women who would love to play this character and would respect the source material and respect the original story that was created by Walt Disney. She just doesn't really care, which is so sad to see. And this is not the last time I'm sure that we're going to see controversy surrounding this film. I don't see a way that they could fix its reputation at this point. I did talk in another video about how allegedly Disney executives behind the scenes are going through crisis talks, and they are going to be having crisis meetings to try to find a way to win audiences back before the March 2024 release date. It does seem at this point like it will most likely be delayed because of the strikes going on in Hollywood right now. Nobody's really working. I mean, even Rachel Zegler herself has taken to the strikes and gone on camera and said, I deserve to get paid for every second of screen time. But, I just don't see a way that through all these crisis meetings, they can find a way to win someone like me back to this film. You have insulted me. You have insulted my childhood. You have insulted millions of little girls and little boys who loved Snow White when they were growing up. I just don't look at this situation and see, oh, this is an easy way out for them, right? They would have to recast everybody. They would have to go back to the roots, completely reshoot everything. And of course, they're not going to do that because they've already spent so much money, I'm sure, on this film, since they have already filmed it and are probably actively editing it. But yes, now you have the son of the original film's director accusing Disney studio bosses of insulting the 37 classic, destroying his father's creation, and saying my dad and Walt Disney would be turning in their graves over the woke Snow White remake. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.